they own this as much as you do, and in some cases, especially in the more recent future, they own it more.
None of that can exist if someone didn't set the stage up, didn't hire the players, didn't make the game.
What's the opposite of a sandwich? So, like there's a sandwich, right, with, in the middle. What do you call it where the bread is and there's something maybe somewhat palatable in the middle? Because that's what Semmler's constructed, right? All right, peons, welcome back to the breakdown featuring, of course, SirScoots and myself, Mitch, UberShouts, Leslie. Great to have you back on the show here. We've covered a lot of the murmurings we sort of have witnessed over the last few weeks in esports, and this is one that we're going to circle back to here because, Scott, obviously, there was a discussion last week while I was, at home, still doing the show about women's tournaments in esports, right? I think, as many people have identified, we've done that subject to death, but there's been a lot that has sort of developed as a result of this coming into question, right, in the first place. So from a whole spectrum of people, but also some that, maybe hitherto were fairly respected in the scene. So I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your head, all right, when I show you this tweet.
Oh, God.
Show me the tweet. Show me the tweet! Show Daniel!
Show Daniel
all right,
the tweet.
First thing you think of. Go. You're filtering. Stop filtering, Scott!
I mean, no.
Okay, so let's give some context to this, right? Obviously, Thorin is it's a thread of that he's made, basically. That is his reaction to, obviously, some of the pushback that he's receiving. Tell you what, you do that cute thing where you tell me to get out of the industry I built and still rests on my fucking shoulders. I am Esports, big on peon. So this started from a quote tweet. Obviously, Thorin's probably no stranger to being told to, quote unquote, get out of esports. Can we take a step back and maybe go to...
Yeah,
let's talk about why Thorin is
preface.
involved in this,
Yeah.
because he didn't necessarily start this whole discussion this time around. It wasn't Thorin.
Yeah, Semmler owes Thorin a large paycheck, a large debt of gratitude for shifting this entire thing to himself, away from
Right.
Semmler. Semmler should be thanking his lucky stars Duncan decided to start tweeting.
Yeah.
Because it really shifted the unfortunately, it shifted maybe what might have been a constructive conversation about the pros and cons of something like this to something very volatile and incendiary that they created.
Right.
That they created.
So look, it is my belief that there is a quadrant of Semmler's delivery here that could be conducive to an amicable exchange. Let's just say an exchange in the marketplace of ideas, if you will. So this Semmler's tweet here is a quote tweet of something that Sapphire said. She's like, listen, I did this off my own back, you know what I mean? I worked my ass off. She was obviously responding, negatively to obviously the criticism of women's tournaments existing. But Semmler's thoughts is that, yes, this approach that Sapphire did, where she grinded, she dealt with torrents of fucking bullshit and resistance and misogyny and doors being shut in her face and hurdles to get across. He sort of said, this is the correct approach if you want to get women to compete against men in Tier 1, to have them overcome all of this, what I would believe is more than the average person to have to overcome to make it to Tier 1. But look, I'm not a pro player. He says, if your goal is to have more women competing overall, then having more leagues for women like this ESL one is the correct approach. So deep. We'll take your fucking bathysphere here. And the reason why I look at this tweet is because you can construe this as something that might qualify as a decent starting place for an argument, saying, okay, listen, there's two different things here. There's getting women to compete at Tier 1, and there's getting women to compete in tournaments in general. And he thinks that they're very different, but I would argue that they're very closely related. I would argue that the more women you get competing, the more women will rise up to Tier 1. He seems to believe by this tweet that there's a difference. Now,
Let me pause you. Go back to that tweet, Jason. Not only does he not believe it, he vehemently disagrees that the second point he makes leads to the first point happening.
Right. He doesn't think they're related. Or they can be conducive to one another, right?
Yeah, where they actually are conducive. Like, it's the actual opposite. Like, he's so vehemently wrong on that third
Yep.
sentence of that tweet.
Yes.
Like, the second method will not lead to the first goal. You're fucking wrong, dude.
Yeah, so-
the second method is what helps get to the first fucking goal.
But there is actually a discussion that you can have there. Like, you could go to Semmler and say,
Sure.
okay, let's talk about this tweet. The problem is that Semmler, what's the opposite of a shit sandwich? So, like there's a shit sandwich, right? With, shit's in the middle. What do you call it where the fucking bread is shit and there's something maybe somewhat palatable in the middle? Because that's what Semmler's constructed, right? This is like the most, this isn't saying much. That's like the most reasonable of his tweets. But he couches it in between the age-old, when are we going to get this thing for men? Like, when's Men's History Day or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
men's only
then,
tournaments.
The other fucking bread is having a go at someone for putting pronouns in their bio. So you all of a sudden, you've just dispensed with any chance of having a good faith exchange, right? Because the only shred of maybe good faith or maybe an attempt at some intellectual, honesty is couched in between these two very incendiary behaviors. So already we're off on the wrong foot, right? People are seeing this stuff from him and they're getting aggrieved. They are disgruntled by this behavior. That's a whole other thing. We're not even talking about Semmler for the most part because then Thorin chimes in. Now tell me why. Explain to me. Explain like I'm 5. How this is.
You want me?
Yes. How Thorin has now become involved and what's the connection there?
Okay, well, I don't know if I can tell you what's inside Thorin's brain, right? Full disclosure, Thorin and I no longer get along. We are not mates. We are
mates.
Yeah,
it's not just banter anymore.
You all could talk about getting blocked this week. I got blocked fucking a year and a half ago from the guy, so whatever, right? But we traveled the world together before that. But so I don't know what's inside his head. I want to say a couple things about Duncan. First off, where I will give him credit, because credit is due, that the man is a prolific content creator and prolific chronicler.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Like he is,
our world.
Okay.
So when he yells and screams, I am esports, I am this, I am that, there is a part of him and certainly a part of me that goes, you know what? He has done a lot.
So you could maybe say that he has contributed to
chronically,
esports.
yes. Like he's way off base in his fucking bravado, but like he is. There is a lot of history that would be lost if he deleted all his fucking YouTubes. Now, if Thorin deleted everything he's ever made about Counter-Strike, would it affect who tunes in to watch Counter-Strike next week? No, not at all. But it would affect historically going back and watching great interviews and all that kind of shit. The weird thing about Duncan is he's like two different fucking people, right? When he sits down and does an interview with a pro player and he gets deep inside and asks really insightful questions, awesome fucking content. That's what I like about Duncan. When he used to stand next to me at desks and give great content during a live show, like he's fucking great. Minute that camera's off, the minute he stops fucking interviewing someone, he's a different person, right? And it's not necessarily a person you want to hang out with. That's me, right? That's me. That's not everybody's taste, right? So what I think on Duncan's part, you asked me like, what the fuck is he doing?
Sure.
I think part of this is Duncan just being the fucking snake-stirring, contrarian, piss everybody off because I like doing it kind of guy. I don't know if he believes all those tweets he's tweeting. I don't know if he's that misogynistic, all those kind of things. But I know he loves whipping up the fucking plebs, right? He loves whipping up the peons because he's done that for decades, right? So part of me thinks he's just laughing, going, "Oh, they're gonna love this one."
I think that's very charitable.
But he's still maybe I'm giving him far too much of a benefit of the doubt. Maybe. And again, but when you tell me that, again, I am not getting offended that he says I am esports because I know he's not. Right?
Sure.
I know the hundreds and
But
thousands
as
of people.
someone that contributed to esports with a huge part of your life over many years, are you not remotely incensed by that statement?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because this guy sat on the board of the people that voted to give me a Lifetime Achievement Award in esports, right? So he can't be esports if he gave me the esports award. So I can giggle about it.
Jason, are you
Jason can be pissed.
Jason, are you incensed? You in the control room, Mr. Alchemist, are you incensed that someone like this, move your monitor out of the way, go on. Are you incensed? Okay, so you're Matt, someone who has put many, many years in and a lot of your life into it. Here's the problem with this, right? Is that esports would not have got to where it is without, all of us.
Far more Jasons than me.
Sure,
too, even.
that's fine.
I'm with you on that. And I'm being tongue-in-cheek, right? I'm laughing about my esports award, but the guys like him gave it to me. Literally, he's on the panel that gave it to me, right? But then he calls me evil and all this stupid shit. That's why I laugh at him. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You can't give me an award and 6 months later say I'm killing esports. But point being with Thorin, I think part of it is he is also unlike Semmler, right? This is where they diverge.
Okay, so they're not the same person, you don't think?
No, I've seen them together. I've
Okay.
actually had conversations with both. Where Thorin is lucky, privileged, whatever word you want to use, he works for himself. If nobody hires Thorin ever again and gives him a day rate to stand behind a desk, because he doesn't do very many. We've had COVID, obviously, so there hasn't been a lot of stand-up events, but he would be financially just fine if he never actually worked a live event.
Because he's developed his own content.
He's got his own brand. He's got his own fans. He's got his own money.
Sponsors,
So, like,
all that.
you all that want to fucking cancel people like him or whatever, good luck. Because, like, he's got a great fan base that defends him, does all this stuff. He will be just
great
fine.
in size, right? Are you saying? What do you mean by great fan base?
I don't mean great as in I like them, but great
Sure.
as in they are defenders of all things Thorin.
Right.
Right? Like,
So
just
great
go
for him.
Just go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. just go look at these tweets. He's got an army that will tweet 100 times a day in defense of him. He doesn't have to. But point being, I don't care what he does with his life. I really don't. There was a time I did. I don't anymore. But it's not like Semmler where he might just lose gigs. He might not get any more Counter-Strike gigs.
Right.
Or his day rates might get severely limited by who wants to hire him. He might lose 3 of his TOs. He might not.
What is this to say, though? Are you sort of saying that Semmler wouldn't go that far because it would hurt him, or that he just wouldn't go that far because he's not that kind of person? Like what?
No. I think they're both completely in the wrong in their takes on this. I'm just saying, I guess my take has nothing to do with Semmler on this.
Okay.
Well, the take would be Semmler might get some punishment or some retribution, whatever word you want to use for what he said. Thorin, on the other hand, is getting the shine he loves, the controversy he loves. He loves blocking people. He loves people.
I would find it stressful. This would stress me out.
I think he's wired different than us, man. I think he's wired different than us.
Right.
So, point being, Semmler might have some repercussions. I don't think Thorin really is going to have much.
So he's playing with house money, is what you're saying. He feels like
That's probably the best way to put it, I think. And I don't. There's no other thing other than it is what it is. I don't want to cancel him. I don't give a shit. I don't watch his shit. So talk with it's very easy for me to separate the content from the cunt. To use your word, right? And if he does a really good interview with someone, I might watch it. If he does some stupid fucking gossipy fucking show, I'm not gonna watch it.
A lot of people. So I mean, I know the prevailing opinion
like
is that
Country from the cunt?
nicely done. Yeah, a lot of people. The prevailing opinion probably is that they can't. Right. Look at J.K. Rowling, for example. Right. She's a bit of a cunt. Yeah, with a lot of her takes, and people won't read her content, won't consume it right.
Yep.
Some people maybe once they passed away and they're not materially benefiting from on this mortal plane, they might still be able to enjoy it or whatever. I've just heard that one before. This isn't obviously the only tweet that we saw from Thorin. This was a tweet chain, and one of the more interesting ones was
this was the end.
So the one he was saying that women should go and make their own company with their own investors. You remember this one?
Yes.
That they should go see how easy it is. My problem is that what Thorin is trying to do is he's trying to eliminate the middle ground. He's trying to eliminate nuance, right?
Yeah.
So what he's trying to do is turn this into a binary thing. It's like you're with me or against me. You agree that everyone's being a snowflake and being upset, or you are one of those people, and and my problem is that this is a form of straw manning, right? Because you are co-opting your. And to be fair, Thorin is dealing with 500,000 people's different arguments, right? And he's obviously cherry picking the ones that he feels he might get the most laugh out of, and maybe the weak, the less well constructed ones. And he's obviously and he's fighting against them. He's dragging the bad ideas into the town square, and he's beating the hell out of them, and he's trying to make himself look good. But he basically co-opts your argument by inserting his version of what you actually stand for. And calls it his interpretation. That's a problem for me. So this is what I mean. If you don't need men and you're so great, then prove it. I don't know how many reasonable people are saying this. I'm sure it's an argument that he's received because it's just the wide spectrum of them. Start an all-female company that's funded by all-female investors. Whoa. First of all, a lot of these companies that are, producing these leagues are formed up of a real diversity of people. My partner is a producer on the Overwatch League, for example, right? Yeah. There are many fantastic women already behind the scenes in VC positions, in CEO positions, management, production, league operations, talent. They're already there. You know what I mean? Like that. The solution is not to tell them to fuck off and make their own thing, because they're already making their own thing. Esports is their own thing. They own this as much as you do, and in some cases, especially in the more recent future, they own it more. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be argued if we're going to fucking quibble about that. I think Duncan is using this whole discussion as a vehicle for his ideological battle.
Okay.
So
Okay.
First, I think he jumped in for Thorin because they're friends, and because I believe he was sympathetic to Semmler's. Thorin jumped in and helped Semmler.
Sure,
He was
sure.
sympathetic to Semmler's arguments because they're probably some viewpoints that he shared with him. I seen Thorin tweet out, like, he keeps retweeting this fucking thing that's like, stand your ground, never give up, never lie, like all this it's very Peterson-esque. It's very like, self-improvement sort of, masculinity aspiring to sort of, to honorable sort of, ideals.
Sure.
But I think he's using this whole discussion as a vehicle to be like, hey, look at all these crazy people,
Okay.
and he's fighting against this ideology. And the best part is that he's calling people out for being ideologues. But we're starting to descend, based on his tweets, into the realm of what could be construed as fucking derangement. Saying first of all, the register in which you speak, saying this industry is built on my shoulders, I am esports, you're peons. I mean, you might fucking hear this in like ancient Greece. The register in which he's speaking is becoming Richard III-esque. And to be fair, some of the stuff he's saying, I don't know about you, Scott, but it is seeming, now I'm not making any assertions about his state, his mental health or anything like that, but it appears deranged behavior.
Yeah, and again, maybe I am taking the opposite tack that he's just poking fun and being typical old contrarian Thorin, and I don't know. We don't talk anymore. So, but again, what I would say, and what I said to Jason yesterday, I go, if we were still on speaking terms like we were a couple years ago, I would be in the guy's DMs going, dude, are you all right? Are you taking the piss here or what?
So you would be trying to keep him accountable, maybe like help here or
at least check in, like, what the fuck, dude, right?
Okay.
I already know from hanging out in green rooms with all those guys that we definitely aren't on the same political spectrum on all sorts of topics. That's all well and good.
And reasonable people can still cooperate
that's
despite
all well
this.
and fucking good. We had conversations about those things.
Right.
But again, if I was in speaking terms with him, I would have reached out and said, hey, dude, are you all right? And, checking on you, I don't know. It just seems like he just kept going and going and going. So maybe there is something there. Maybe, I don't know. I hate to, everyone in that crew of people, Richard, him, they often like to point out mental ill is their go-to insult. Oh, you insult me.
Or at least it was.
Are you mentally ill?
At least it was,
You should get help. And,
Sure.
there's actually worrying about that for someone, and then there's just being a smart ass.
Are we roping Richard into this now as well?
No, Richard's had nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
but Richard does use that term a lot when he is insulting, right? He goes after mental, and so be it. This is not about Richard at all. Richard's actually been stone cold quiet on this subject, right?
That's I haven't seen behind the numbers.
Yeah. No, I haven't. Yeah, that I don't know. But I guess the point is I guess I want to believe he's just taking the piss and he doesn't believe the shit he's spewing, because if he believes the shit he's spewing, he's actually even like worse of a human than I think he might already be, right? Like, and I've already got him over here. So again, we'll see how it plays out. I think they totally missed the mark on the idea that it's pretty goddamn standard that people do better and get more excited about shit when they see representation of themselves on something they're fucking interested in.
I get it for Aussies. I love seeing Aussies in esports, right?
Right.
And I'm not being racist. I'm just like, I love seeing like Max Anderson, Casting League, or Pastry Time, or whatever. Like, I'm like, that's my people. You know what I mean? We came out of like Australia. It was a hard situation to break into esports. We did it, right? I'm like a nondescript white guy, brown hair, number 2. You know what I mean? But I don't identify with them because of that. It's because they came from the same scene. There's pride in seeing them make it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it just, I guess I just see some of this stuff as such common sense for the world we live in.
Right.
That, you must be taking the piss. You can't. And again, we've had a couple years of, we've also had, in this country, obviously, Trump folks. We've had a whole group,
Trump folks,
whatever you want to call them, from the last election and before that.
Sure, Republicans.
Well, not all Republicans are like them.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
I
We have
don't
the
want to
never
even do
Trumpers
that
as well. Sure.
Point being, a lot more people have gotten comfortable in the world in general with saying really fucking crazy shit in
Why?
public.
Because do you think
know.
Trump normalized it?
I don't know. But people are A-okay with saying really fucking stupid shit now. Is it just... Rod brought it up that, like, just social media has made people fucking stupid.
It's under the pretense of bravery. Trump did this, by the way, just on the... I saw it. Trump was like, oh, you know, I'm a straight shooter. I'm not afraid to fucking say what I feel. But people have used that as an excuse to just be cunts. You know what I mean? You know, hang on, it's not... You're not sticking up against oppression. You're just being a dickhead.
I mean, is it just more of the, like, the overall hiding behind the keyboard even more now? I don't know. It just seems like...
Well, but Thorin does not shirk personal accountability, though. It's his face. It's his account.
True.
He's
true.
like, this is me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
you know, hiding behind anonymity... Anonymity is actually something that a lot of his detractors are effectively doing, you know, and they're able to be pretty rough to him behind that, guys.
Yeah, it needs to say. It's not a Trump thing. It just seems like people are getting very comfortable with sharing their opinions of all sorts these days, good or bad. And I don't know. I guess we'll see. There's not really much to see how it plays out. Obviously, we got a
next
women's
BTN
initiative coming.
Next BTN.
Yeah, they'll talk about it, I'm sure.
And look, you know, I mean, I made a tweet, obviously, you know, being satirical about this, and you know, I understand that I'm not necessarily contributing to the discussion by making a shit post about what Duncan said, but I also think there is value in being somewhat satirical about this because, you know, if you look at it, you know, in a too serious light, it's a bit concerning. You know what I mean? So try to make light of it. I know a lot of people are memeing on it for the same reason. It's how we, you know, it is how we sort of try and lighten the mood around some of these more serious issues. But you know, I do encourage you, if you're going to contribute to the discussion, try and be mindful of things like mental health as well.
Yeah.
You know, try not to stoop to what you believe to be your opponent's level, because Thorin's getting plenty of ammunition by just pulling out tweets of people telling him to kill himself. He'll never get laid. He's got a small dick.
They're
like,
making it easy for him.
Yeah,
they're making it easy for him.
No, I don't think anyone of note has really said any of these things. But unfortunately, you are giving his sympathisers you know, a reason to continue to rally around. I don't think it's really helping. You know what I mean? Yes, if someone has a shit take, you should tell them it's a shit take. Like, you know, free speech doesn't protect you from people telling you you're a dumbass. I would just be very wary of, you know, try not to become the enemy that you hate so much, you know?
Yeah, and Daniel brings up a good point in chat. You used to have the tiptoe around your terrible takes and shitty views. Now they're celebrated. So when you get the echo chamber going,
so brave.
Shitty takes, so brave.
Stand up
so
to the
brave.
lefties.
Yeah.
Own the libs, man.
Yeah.
Facts and logic all the way.
Good point.
Fuck
Good
me.
point. Thoughts and prayers. Yeah, and it's got your point. Actually, I'm going to have to divert to Thorin saying he's esports. The other shitty part about that take is...
Which take?
I Am Esports.
Okay.
Again, I already gave him credit for being
I already tried to forget, but you've
prolific content creator, historical, all that good shit. But none of that can exist if someone didn't set the stage up, didn't hire the players, didn't make the game. Like, everything he does and exists for, someone else creates for him to react to.
Sure.
So, if anything, you're like... really not esports because you're not making it.
If you're a caster analyst, it's not about you.
No,
it's just not.
But it's often all about you.
I know, and like this happens. Like talent try to take the spotlight all the time. But it just makes you worse. It just makes you worse at your job. Actually, really.